Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. This coming Sunday, we're going to be doing our Survivor Series watch along. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at Real Going In Raw, just so we can decide where we're actually going to do that. Larson, yes, you have your hand up, sir.
It certainly does not feel like there's a pay-per-view this weekend based on how Raw has been going the last couple of weeks.
Man, we're going to get to all that because I'm out of excuses. I'm out of excuses for the WWE, man. Like,
no excuse.
It's
no
just
excuse anymore.
Like, at least, okay, we'll get there. We'll get there in a bit. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about Survivor Series. We're going to talk about Raw. We're going to talk about all that stuff. We're going to talk about Kenny Omega, and we got a status update on him. I just wanted to mention this real quick. Patreon.com/Steve and Larson. A little bit later on today, we're gonna do our best to open our minds to the WWE and say, hey, look, here's some things that really should happen at Survivor Series. Here's some meaty story ideas for a Survivor Series that clearly is not being set up by any stories whatsoever, at least none that are coherent or make any amount of sense. We're going to do that today at Friendo Club TV. It's the bonus episode. It's one of 3 bonus episodes you get by being a patron at $5 a month. It's a great way to support Going In Raw. And if you listen to us in the audio realm, you get the show ad-free. You know all those ads we do? You don't have to listen to the darn one of them. At patreon.com/Steve and Larson, you can just import your RSS feed from Patreon over to your favorite podcast app. And as long as it's not Spotify. If you listen to us on Spotify, sorry. Nothing I can do about that. But you can do that, and it helps support the show. You get the bonus content, and it's all advertisement free. Mm-hmm. If you want to pay a little bit less, $3 a month, you can still listen to the show ad-free, no bonus content. And you can do that at goinginraw.supercast.tech.
Correct.
So check that out. It's a great way to help support Going In Raw. Yes. Be part of the best, honestly, the best damn community in pro wrestling. I mentioned this yesterday at the head of the AEW review, man. The Friendos are great. And by the way, just real quick, sending our love, all the positivity we have to our amazing friendo Maggie. Mm-hmm. We're with you. We love you.
Yes.
And we're there for you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, before we get started on our Raw review, talk to us about Kenny Omega, dude. What's going on?
All right. So, we've heard
bout machine.
Yeah. We've heard for months that Kenny was dealing with like various injuries, like a bunch ailments, injuries, so on and so forth. And in a recent video he did with a chiropractor, I watched part of it. It's extensive. It's very long. Chiropractor by the name of Bo Hightower. Omega confirmed that he is dealing with a pretty significant shoulder injury. He said he can't do this. Just lift his arm up laterally to the side.
Oh, dang.
Although he got work, he got some work done by this Hightower guy, and he could somewhat. Yeah. But he could only go about that high. He said he could do diagonal raises. But then, kind of more shockingly, he said he's been suffering from vertigo since 2018. He'll be in the ring during a match, and sometimes the ring will start spinning.
Whoa!
Which I can't imagine how awful that is. And he mentions that
it's terrifying. He's terrifying. In there with that's horrifying.
He mentioned that in relation to his neck. 'Cause he's like moving it side to side and up and down. He's got limited mobility there at first, and until again this chiropractor works him over a little bit, and he's got a bit more mobility. So Dave Meltzer is reporting that Omega will be medically evaluated tomorrow. That's November 17th, and that evaluation will determine whether he's going to take some time off or not. I hope for his own quality of life and his own well-being, he does. It's pretty obvious that he's fairly beat up at this juncture. And it'd be great for him to take however much time he needs, heal up as best he can, and when and if he feels like he's ready to return, come on back. But as much as I enjoy Kenny's work, I don't want him to be in the ring and potentially suffer a significant injury that either that could make his quality of life less than what it already is. I don't want to see that happen. Heal up, Kenny.
Man, dude, AEW is so stacked.
Yep.
They do a magnificent job booking stories and characters that he would be missed. But we all understand, and it's time really for Hangman to take that spotlight anyways. Kenny's story can pick up when he's ready. I agree with you 100%. I don't care if this dude takes a year off. He has busted his ass for us since we've been watching New Japan since 2017, I think, since January of 2017. And it has been just best bout after best bout. He is I think my definitive pick for Wrestler of the Year 2021. We have to talk about stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be difficult to move me off that because of everything he's accomplished this year. Just the best wrestler of his generation, in my opinion. He's the kind of guy, I've mentioned this before. I haven't experienced a pro wrestler like that since RVD, since I first laid my eyes on RVD back when I started watching ECW in 1998, when me and Jeff moved to Los Angeles, and we had that on our TVs. I was like, holy crap, this is different pro wrestling. This is so exciting and so interesting. When I saw that first Okada Omega match, and it's been nonstop since then with Kenny Omega. Take a break. You deserve it. I mean, it hurts sometimes watching you wrestle.
He tore his meniscus, I think, while still with New Japan, and usually the recovery for that is months. I feel like he was back in I don't know the exact time frame, but it was way quicker than you would anticipate from a torn meniscus injury. He has been pushing and pushing and pushing himself, and Meltzer mentioned that it seemed like he was maybe slated to take some time off earlier, but he wanted to see through the story with Hangman. And so he just kept on going. He definitely deserves time off. I hope he takes advantage of an opportunity to take some time off. AEW is stacked. You got Adam Cole there waiting in the wings to more or less take that role once Kenny is kicked out of the Elite. And I hope he doesn't feel any pressure to return sooner than he needs to, because now is the time for him to rest and recover. So when he comes back, especially if he gets kicked out of the Elite, if he takes 6, 8, 12 months off, he comes back, it's going to be pretty huge, and if he wants to do a face run after that, cool, but more than anything, just rest. I hope he rests and recovers, so the injuries he's suffering from now don't impact his quality of life going forward. It'd suck to have to live, he's 37, 38, to live the remainder of his years dealing with vertigo. If there's a way he can take care of that and deal with that and not have to deal with that anymore, that would be fantastic.
No, absolutely, man. We want these guys and gals to be healthy and happy, and that comes before our pedestrian entertainment needs. Anyways, speaking of pedestrian, Raw happened. This is the last Raw before Survivor Series.
This feels like this should be 3 weeks out from Survivor Series, the way the stories are being told, such as they are.
This has got to be the most underwhelming build to Survivor Series we've had in quite some time. So 2019, let's just backtrack a little bit. 2019, we had the NXT invasion, which I personally feel that was the best one in a little while. I thought it was fantastic. And some of it might have been happenstance because of the Saudi Arabia plane thing, and they needed people, so they did the NXT invasion. And then at Survivor Series, NXT totally ran the table. It was great.
Yeah, it was great.
And then the next year, 2020, of course, they were dealing with COVID and stuff. But still, was last year the one where it was like a Team Raw was dysfunctional and they were trying to get on the same page, and it was the Skipper stuff with Riddle? That was awesome. Team Raw's story was fantastic. And then they ended up sweeping, I think, Team SmackDown or something like that. That was really, really good character building stuff. What has happened between then and now? Because look, you and I will say this. Plenty of people, well, just let me preface it by this, because I'm sure you're going to have a good point here. Plenty of shows out there, our contemporaries, if you will, have been ringing the alarm on WWE being crap for a long time, and we have tried our damnedest to hold off. I do think when you look at last year's Survivor Series build, there was good stuff there.
Yeah.
The year before NXT, the year before who knows? My memory's crap.
That was the year that Triple H kind of laughed through the whole thing.
Probably, which was, in my opinion, awesome for very bad reasons, but it was still entertaining. But this year has been so particularly lazy. What is the problem?
Crown Jewel. They had to book a WrestleMania level show a month before Survivor Series. Usually, in years past, it'd be like, it was Hell in a Cell. That was October, Well, there's two things. There's that, and the draft needs to move to some other time of the year. Because even this year, they're barely even pushing any sort of brand versus brand thing. Because wisely, like a vast majority of the people who are on the Survivor Series teams weren't on the brand they're representing prior to October. Mm-hmm. So they're not even bothering with the brand versus brand thing. Mm-hmm. They spent a lot of time investing in the stories leading up to Crown Jewel, and they didn't give themselves a whole lot of time to build to Survivor Series, especially when they don't have that brand versus brand thing to lean on. Mm-hmm. So they really either got to change the calendar up a bit in terms of Survivor Series. If they're going to do a brand versus brand thing, you got to move that draft either after WrestleMania or after Survivor Series. I can't remember who it was who mentioned that on Twitter. Those are like the two most obvious. I saw that this morning. The two most obvious times a year to do it, and they just don't. I'm sure they have obligations with their television partners to have it at a certain point. But it really it limits them on what they could do creatively for what's supposed to be one of their major pay-per-views for the year. Also, this show needs some stakes finally. Like, what's the point in... There's really no point. Like, you win your Survivor Series match, what do you get? You don't get anything. Doesn't make any sense. So, add some stakes.
I totally agree. That
it was Louis Dangler. Sorry, it was Louis Dangler who mentioned the Mania after Survivor Series have drafts. So I thought it was one to shout him out. Louis is great.
We've been saying that forever, though. We've been saying that forever. The draft needs to change. It's so weird that the most simple. Dude, I don't. It's honestly, I don't know if it. There, I do feel like ever since NXT, especially just over the past couple months, when NXT sort of surrendered and became 2.0.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like around that time, just over the past couple months, it feels like WWE has just gotten lazier. And it's funny because I joked, speaking of Louis, he tweeted yesterday, WWE really needs to kick it up with Raw and SmackDown if they want fans to be interested in Survivor Series. And this is not a new concept, what I'm about to say, but it just seems a lot more evident now than it has even a year ago. They have their Peacock money.
Yeah.
They have
their TV money.
Their TV money. What do they care?
They're not definitely not a pro wrestling company anymore. They're barely even a sports entertainment company anymore. I think they've said this in their conference calls. They create content. They're just about churning out content now,
But I mean, what does that mean? That content, that's a TV show.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be, shouldn't your goal be to increase your viewership by putting on compelling stuff?
You would think so.
Right. So it's funny because Enforcer and I were talking about this, I think last night on my channel. And he said something like, it's like they're just relying on their brand name, like Disney relies on their brand name. But the difference is, and I was telling this to him, the difference is if Disney always tries to outdo themselves.
They do.
Right?
They do.
It's like if they have a sequel or a Marvel movie comes out and it underperforms, whoa, heads will roll.
Yeah.
They will publicly execute executives if that happens and bring in whole new swaths of people to reboot franchises and stuff.
And I'll even say this, having just been to Disneyland and not having been there for about 10-ish years, and it's small things, but you notice them. A lot of the animatronics that were there were so old. They updated a lot of that stuff. The food is better at Disneyland, I feel like, than what I was there 10 years ago. There's more options. Like, even on that level, it feels like they're constantly trying to improve stuff. Whereas WWE, they're like, all right, we have... And part of it, too, is any TV show, even if it's wildly successful, if it goes on a bad run, it's going to be in danger of being canceled.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like WWE is anywhere close to that point where the ratings tank so badly. I mean, it looks like, especially if you look back 5 years ago, you think, 1.5 million viewers for Raw, they're getting a crap deal from USA and on the verge of being canceled. Doesn't seem like that's the case. If there's no danger of being canceled, then there's basically no motivation across the board for them to improve the quality of their product. There
isn't, because there's like the demo number, which we talk about ratings here and there. We don't hang our hat on or anything like that. It's just I feel like, and people ask the question, would anybody care about ratings? I think ratings are an interesting indicator as to how their business is doing or how potentially their business could be doing, and that might affect things like creative. It might affect. Well, we've seen it
definitely. Ratings and the demo number affects what they could charge, what the network could charge for ad rates of particular shows, and that's how the networks recoup the money they're paying for those shows.
Some of the stuff involves the business of the company, and the business of the company can affect the creative of the company. Absolutely. We've seen this millions of times. And so it is interesting to look at it as an indicator, not as to, who's winning what. But their demographic number, still does pretty damn well. Like, in the ratings, they do pretty well. So, like, why would they have any motivation? I guess I'm just asking them, WWE, directly, can you please put a little more effort into it? Because, they're doing fine. They're making all this boatloads of money, and they've got these TV deals for, like, decades out. And they do have a big show feels, not the big show, but a big show feel to it when you can bring in Brock Lesnar and, Roman Reigns has these 10-minute entrances. And there's this illusion of, like, you're in the big time. But if you actually watch the show, it's like, this is dog shit half the time. Like, sometimes Raw will feel motivated, and I'll be like, hey, this is pretty good. This is all right. But then you go and you watch a show like Full Gear, it's like, God damn. Telling real stories over there.
With WWE, it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. Competence is the new excellence. They put on a show that's like the bare minimum of entertaining, and it seems great in comparison to the rest of the crap they usually put out.
Yeah.
It's like they've lowered the bar for themselves so much that even just putting forth a mediocre show feels like quite an achievement.
I saw this tweet relatively recently, and I apologize. I don't know who said it. It was just one of those things you scroll, and you see it's like, that's a great idea. And it went something along the lines of this. WWE has thoroughly and totally given up on on a mid-card division. Anything outside of the box office attraction, right? Outside of Roman, outside of Becky, and even Becky, the whole Becky Bianca thing, I'm sure they're going to revisit it, probably come towards WrestleMania. Yeah. But like Becky's a face against Charlotte now, and I guess a heel against Liv. So she can play it both ways because Becky's really talented. But it's like outside of that stuff, they just sort of go, and I know they've always gone from moment to moment, but God damn it, before now, it felt like there's been some effort, at least last year. I know over the past 12 months, there have been especially elongated stretches of lazy creative on the part of Raw. They have been well documented here, everywhere else. We talked about, we don't even do the nightly Raw reviews now. We just wait till the next day so we can take our time with the show and not murder ourselves. And so, but it's just, it seems like it's not, we're going to save the good shit for when crowds come back.
Just about to say that.
What?
Just about to say that.
No, you didn't, though. You didn't.
They just meant Brock Lesnar.
They meant Brock.
They meant Brock.
That's all they meant.
They meant Brock.
All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, Decked. So, Larson.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this story before. You got like a truck-owning friendo who goes to check out like a football game or something at a buddy's house and completely forgets about all the stuff they left in the bed of their truck. And then when they go back to their truck, they discover that while they were at their friend's house, the heavens had opened up and dropped a bunch of rain or snow and completely ruined everything they left in their truck bed.
Yeah, I've heard stories like that before. And the next time I hear stories like that, I'm going to tell that friendo about Decked. The Decked drawer system is weatherproof, which means it will keep your stuff safe from rain, ice, and snow. Also, the Decked drawer system makes organizing and accessing everything in your truck bed so much easier.
Yeah, and each of Deck's 2 full bed-length drawers can carry up to 200 pounds of whatever you want to put in them. And the drawers roll out about waist high, giving you easy access to your tools and gear. Plus, Decked is 100% made in the USA and backed by a lifetime no-hassle warranty and offers second-to-none customer service.
Getting Decked is the best thing friendos out there can do for their truck, especially this time of year. So protect your stuff. Get your Decked drawer system at decked.com/raw and get free shipping. That's decked.com/raw for free shipping on your Decked drawer system. Decked.com/raw. One really obvious Adam Pearce. So let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
So he and Sonya Deville are, I guess, they haven't really been given, I don't believe, proper titles like general manager. You know, historically, if you're the authority figure or figures on a particular brand, you're the general manager. I don't believe they've been bestowed those titles. Nonetheless, that's more or less what they are.
Yeah.
And it's for both brands. It's for Raw and SmackDown. This has been established. I mean, Adam Pearce is the one who fined and suspended Brock Lesnar. Obviously, he still is, at least to a degree, in charge of SmackDown as well as Raw. And so last week, he more or less kicked Dom off the Raw Survivor Series team because he says, in hindsight, I looked at the roster, 4 out of the 5 are former world champions. Dom, you're not. So if you want to keep your spot, you got to beat a former WWE champion, Bob Lashley. Of course, Lashley basically tore him in half. Lashley's on the team now. And so Ray goes up to Adam Pearce and is like, what's the deal with this? We had a deal. Dom would be on the Survivor Series team. And so then Pearce puts Ray up against Lashley. Of course, Lashley beats the hell out of him. Wins the match. Afterwards, Adam Pearce, who's watching backstage with the TV right here, you know, like people in WWE watch TV, he goes out to the ring and says, well, now, Ray, in your best interest, for the best interest of Team Raw, I can't have you in the Survivor Series team. I'll have a replacement to be named later. Austin Theory runs out, hits his finisher on Dom, and Adam Pearce says, Austin Theory, I like your style. You're on the team now. I'm like, you just said a week ago you want Team Raw to win. You want to have the best squad possible. You kicked off Dom because he's inexperienced and replaced him with a former WWE champion. Austin Theory, I know he has more experience than Dom does, but at the same time, on main roster, he does not have a lot of experience. He comes out and hits one move on Dom, and that's enough to impress Adam Pearce when you could potentially put AJ Styles on the team, Edge, and I'm just talking former WWE champions. And he doesn't do that. And there's probably going to be no explanation of it because Survivor Series is Sunday. It's like there's a disconnect there in his own logic in terms of how he's trying to construct this team. And they make no efforts to explain those inconsistencies, and it bothers me.
And we mentioned this during the pre-show, is that the Colonel, like, you and I both really like Adam Pearce.
Yeah, I think he does great work with whatever he's given. Yeah.
And there's like this sort of kernel of a good idea here where, you know, Pearce has had run-ins with Braun, who I think headbutted him.
Yeah.
Brock, of course, obviously. Brock, obviously. And so this idea that Pearce is like, hey, man, I'm not going to be disrespectful, I'm not going to be throwing around, is a really cool concept. And it's if he's just doing this to be a dick because Ray came up to him and was annoyed with this idea that, hey, you jacked my son, I would be cool with it. But the problem is there has been just a pattern established of WWE, and we said this during the pre-show, they will actually set up some cool stuff. It's like, oh, whoa, this is kind of a cool idea you got going here. Where you get it? And then they do nothing with it. So it's not like this Pearce thing is going to have a character arc. It's going to go somewhere. There's a story idea that they're going to go towards. It just is going to linger, and then he will have sometime, somewhere, when it's convenient for the story, another attitude adjustment, another character shift that just will not, it will come out of nowhere. It'll be because they need a convenient plot device, and he'll be a different person all of a sudden. He'll just be over it. And it's just this stuff where it's like, man, they're just not, it's just not, I mean, at least like we saw, you know, Kevin Owens is back to being a bad guy now. And God bless his soul, he really does do his damnedest to motivate that. And I firmly believe that is just him. He goes out there, and I don't know if he collaborates with a writer or what, but he goes out there and he says, hey, you wanted me to be bad. You went around besmirching my name, saying I'm a liar, saying I'm not trustworthy. Fine. I'm going to be that then. Even though, like, an actual person who's trying to repent understands that they have, you know, they dug themselves in a hole. But I like that. Okay, he's going against his nature. Kevin Owens is better as a heel anyways. And it's like, okay, but it's the whole thing just smacks of laziness. And it's so disheartening to watch 3 hours of it.
And here's the other thing about Kevin Owens is I agree with you. I kind of wish they had built to that
fleshed
moment.
It out more.
Yeah, built to that moment where he comes out and says, all right, you want me to be this, you want me to be the bad guy? Fine, I'll be the bad guy. After he tries some more at redemption, you know, he comes out to, last night and says, all right, I know I've been awful. I was frustrated. I slipped up. I'm sorry. I'm trying really hard not to be that person. And, you know, you build the point where he comes to the realization that it's inevitable. He's going to be that person. I feel like they could have built to that a bit more. Nonetheless, this is even the Kevin Owens thing. I feel like, and maybe part of my perception of this is skewed because in my mind, he's gone in like 2.5 months where they need feud for Big E. They need opponents for him. Yeah. And so who's going to be? Well, Seth, obviously. Well, we need something a bit before that. Kevin Owens. They have history with, you know, he has history at the New Day. Obviously, he's a great heel. Let's just turn him. And so it's not an organic change. It's the character shift because it's convenient from a creative standpoint to do a month or 2 month feud with Big E and Kevin Owens. And then after that, you know, there'll probably be no creative direction for Kevin Owens, even if he was sticking around.
Oh, yeah, no. It would be the kind of thing where, you know,
it's like with his feud with Roman, where he feuded with Roman for 3 months and that was over, and then he wasn't on TV for a while. You know, there's no follow through with stuff. Now, if they had an idea of follow through with Kevin Owens, where, so, I mean, based on what we saw last night, he's bad again. Now he's probably going to start winning because he's bad, and then he'll, you know, have a feud with Big E. He'll lose that, and if they took that as either, you know, be a fork in the road for him. Well, I went bad again, and in the end didn't work. Should I reconsider? Or, all right, I didn't go bad enough. Yeah. But neither of those will probably be the case unless he insists on it.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think that a 2 or 3 month feud, you know, whenever Owens leaves into AEW, I'm just excited about that. However long it takes. I really love Kevin Owens. I love Big E.
Same.
And, you know, sometimes if they just let them go out there and do whatever, it'll make for entertaining stuff. I thought the Owens-Finn Balor match was highly entertaining tonight. Kevin Owens as a heel is best Kevin Owens. Let's be honest. I hope when Kevin Steen gets there ain't no, I'm happy to be here. It's just him destroying people from the get-go. I think that could be great. So yeah, I mean, that's a positive. Again, it all comes down to the performers are great. If it wasn't for Seth Rollins, he brings so much to the equation, you know, for him telling people, don't wake the baby. Don't wake the baby.
Yeah, that was good.
You know, the fact that this nutcase is a dad and in kayfabe, I mean, obviously they've talked extensively about Becky and him having a baby, but I just love that they're not shying away from that. Don't wake the baby. He does really wonderful work. The performers there in the WWE do God's work. They do really as much as they can with the slop that they're given. It's just, unfortunately, the people in charge have to give them direction and plot points and story beats to hit, and that's where they just really drop the ball. It's like you can have all these great performances, but if the story's not there, it's not going to be compelling stuff. Nope. It's going to be reliant completely and totally on the performers, and that's where you have to get your entertainment from. And on Raw, that's where we do get it from. It's just, unfortunately, when you understand that something can be so much damn better, it's really is a shame and a chore to sit through. It's kind of funny too. Like it's so ass backwards. Like I totally thought that with so many great tag teams being on SmackDown now, that would be the land of the SmackDown of the tag team stuff. But like Raw's tag team division is actually kind of thriving right now. Like they've got, obviously coming up at Survivor Series, you've got RK Bro versus the Usos. That'll be a killer match. You've got this dynamic with Orton and Riddle. Orton tried to appeal to Riddle, like, these titles are the only thing that means anything. This team is the only thing that means anything to me. And Riddle completely not really understanding the point and just saying, oh, you care about me? And Orton's like, you really get it.
Yeah.
And then the Street Profits go. So I like the dynamics in the tag team division.
Trying to develop some stories, even though if the one between AJ Styles and Amos and the Dirty Dogs is kind of nonsensical.
It is, but they're being featured, which is really kind of, I really appreciate that there is, what were there? At least there was two. They had the Dirty Dogs versus AJ and Amos. They had the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. You have all the RK Bro stuff. I know a lot of that took up the beginning. So like I do appreciate that the tag teams, which by and large are populated with guys that are typically singles wrestlers, is a thriving scene on Raw. And I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought if you were a tag team, you're going to Raw to die. But they're doing pretty decent with their tag team division.
With the tag division, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just go ahead and dive into it.
Sure.
Big E opened the show. Said, got a lot of people out here have their eyes on me, talking about, being the champion. He says, with Thanksgiving around the corner, I have plenty to give, but let's get to the matter at hand, and that's Roman Reigns. He says, you see, Roman, it was supposed to be brand versus brand, champion versus champion, but you and your little cousins took it to a place that we can never come back from. You put your hands on my family. So now that means I got to beat your ass like you stole something. Got to make sure there are empty beds in the hospital in Brooklyn for you. Got to take a piece of you that you'll never get back. But that's Sunday. This is Monday. Kevin Owens, bring your lying carcass out here.
And he does. And he tells Big E there's nothing he'd like more than to go to the ring and beat him up again. But he says, last week, Big E, you cost me my match against Seth. That's his third straight loss since coming to Raw. Now you're mentioning that Big E called him a liar, so he snapped. And how could he not? He said he wasn't lying, but doesn't matter. But since Big E said it, and everybody respects him so much, now everyone backstage is judging me. And anyone who judges me for what I did last week, including you, Big E, can go to hell. He says because of Big E, the perception is that Kevin Owens is a scumbag. So he says, I'll just be the bad guy everybody wants me to be, but I'm going to be worse. I'm going to break bad on every WWE superstar and on Big E. And he deserves it, and everything that happens from here on is Big E's fault. And so Big E tells Owens to get in the ring. Instead, Kevin Owens walks backstage. Big E follows, and then the Usos jump him as he's about to head through the curtain. They bring him back to the ring, beat him up some more. Jay talks some trash, says RK Bro can get this work too. Riddle runs out to make the save. Him and Big E clear the ring. And then Sonya comes out and says, you get back in the ring. We're going to have a tag match now. And then Seth Rollins comes out to the ramp and laughs and dances.
Yeah. He laughs and dances and points at Sonyaville. He really is. Seth is really a joy to watch.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
So the match is going to be Big E and Riddle versus the Usos. Seth ends up getting involved. Orton gets involved. So then it turns into Big E and RK Bro versus the Usos and Seth Rollins. So like a Team Raw guy with some Team SmackDown guys.
I can't stand when they do this. It's just filler. It's obvious filler. The first match is obvious filler.
It really is. So Rollins gets the win on Riddle with a couple of rolling elbows and then a roll up. So then after the match, I really loved this part. Again, it's the performers. After the match, Big E grabs Jay. He's really laying into him. And this is the kind of shit from Big E that I love to see.
Oh, because Randy hit Jay with an RKO.
Yeah. And so he's like, I hope Daddy Roman got the message. Picks him up, looks in the camera, says, this is for you. then drops him with the big ending.
Yeah,
but that whole bit, and it's so funny because you see Big E looking at the camera, and WWE, like, people are trained to never look into the camera, but for the purpose of this, he had to because he sent a message to Roman. He looks like halfway nervous looking into the camera. But the delivery was excellent.
Oh yeah, it's very convincing.
And the big ending was great. So I thought that moment was really, really special.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. After that, we had a Bianca Belair interview. She says that last week Doudrop made it clear that she thinks she should be on the Survivor Series team and not her, Bianca, that is. And then she was like, I don't make the rules around here, but if Doudrop wants to mix it up, let's do it. And she's like, I'm not taking away from Doudrop, but she keeps sticking her nose in my business. And then Tamina steps in, tells Bianca that tonight, I'm your business. And Bianca says, well, I was looking for Doudrop, but Tamina, you'll do. And that match
Bianca did not look at the kayfabe whiteboard to see exactly who she was taking. Or maybe the kayfabe whiteboard is like the real script, and that it just says Bianca match.
Yeah, it could be.
And she's like, who am I going to be fighting? We're still figuring that out. So can it be Doudrop? We have a thing going right now. We're still figuring it out.
We're still working on that.
So after that, we have before we get to the match, we get a Kevin Owens interview. Finn interrupts, says, I'm sorry I wasn't there when you were asking people to vouch for you last week, because I would have said you were a liar to your face. Did you see my pink trunks the other day? Look at them. He says, now we're going to fight because Seth is out because he was in that match already. And then Owen says, oh, me and you? Too bad for you.
And that's no lie.
Chum.
Yeah, then we get Bianca versus Tamina. Bianca picks up the win. It's a relatively short bout. And so she's celebrating in the ring. Doudrop comes out to the ramp, tells, oh, Bianca, you just had a match, so you must be exhausted. So it wouldn't be fair for me to come to the ring and take advantage of that. But after Survivor Series, I'll be looking for you.
Yeah. And then Becky starts the second hour. Oh. And she says, in case any of you missed it, this is what Charlotte had to say about me last Friday. They roll
which is good
the Charlotte
I missed
promo.
It.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You got to see Becky. Who are you?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, like I said, you didn't miss much, dude. She says, I really like this promo from Becky, though. She said, I used to be your best friend. The person there that was there for you, that was so happy for you. Also a shoulder to cry on, but I'm also the person that realized being your best friend comes with conditions. You always have to be the star, and whoever's with you has got to be in the back. I had to do so much more. She said, I had to do so much more than be a one-note ripoff than someone else to succeed. I had to recreate myself so many times so I could be the biggest star in this industry. My success has made you so bitter that you don't even like yourself anymore. I'm the person you're going to have to face with the Survivor Series. I'm going to make you face your demons. This is about personal legacy. This Sunday, I'm going to be the person who beats the ever-living piss out of you. Liv Morgan interrupts, and God bless Liv Morgan. She looks like she's nervous when she's in the ring with Becky. Becky's so fucking good on the mic, and Liv has improved vastly in the ring. Oh, yeah. When she's talking, she sounds like she's a first-year promo student. I'm sorry. I know people really like Liv Morgan, but I just don't. She sounds so nervous when she talks. And so she tries, and then Becky, it's like that time Ricochet tried to say something and Drew said, shut up. And he just had cry face the entire time she's out there. She's got cry face. She's like, she says, last week you just walked away from me. I'm not going to let you do that again, especially not after I won the opportunity I'd been waiting for, a chance at taking that title off of the one person I admired most, you. Becky says, hold on a second. Last week, I only left to give you a moment after your victory because you don't get many of them. She says, I used to be your biggest fan. Do you remember what I said before I left to you? She said, I know you remember it because you told the whole world about it. I even figured you'd interrupt me, so I prepared a video package. And he cuts to an episode of Talking Smack from 4 months ago, and Liv said, Becky told me, when I come back, you're going to be champion. And I didn't accomplish that. And Becky says, when they come back from it, Becky's like, I didn't realize you were going to underperform so badly. The crowd starts booing. She's like, well, it's not my fault. I wasn't even here to hold her down. She said, the truth is, some people have it and some people don't. She said, look at me. I left for a year and a half and I won this thing in 26 seconds and I've been killing the game ever since. And in all that time, you've done nothing. And then Liv tries to say something and Becky just runs over her, says, I get the title. She says, I told you to get that title when I'm gone, because now that I'm back, there's no way you're going to get your grubby little hands on it. And Liv just has the most cry face, and all she can do is call her a bitch, and it's the weakest thing. And Becky tries to attack, and Liv tosses her, and Becky goes running and carries the entire segment. So I don't know. That was harsh. That was harsh for Liv, man. That was harsh.
Yeah, it was. RK Bro, they're backstage. Orton wants Riddle to stop playing hero. Asks Riddle, where has it got him helping the Street Profits? He says, I'll tell you where it's gotten you. It's gotten you flattened. He says, and it was your fault, Riddle. He says, you interjected yourself into Moss business, and then tonight you got you tried to go out there and help Big E when he made a mess for himself, and he's the champ. He doesn't need our help. The only thing you need to worry about are their titles and RK Bro. And Riddle says, Randy, you're right. He says, I wish I could pick up some of your knowledge, but I thought it was a good strategy to help Big E against the Usos. And then Orton says, I'm going to spell it out for you. The only thing that matters is RK Bro and those titles. And Riddle says, oh, you care, Randy? And Orton, he storms off. He's upset.
Orton's so good in this, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Orton is so invested in this thing, and I love it. I do love every time he's on the screen with us.
Yeah. So then Street Profits walk in, and Dawkins is wondering why Orton doesn't like him. And Riddle says, y'all, Riddle says, I love you guys. I think Randy likes you, but I have to start acting more like Orton. And Dawkins says, the only time you're supposed to start acting like and thinking like your partner is when the bell rings before your match. Speaking of which, we have a match right now. So they kind of, talk a bit more, and then the Street Profits go. And their match against Alpha Academy was next. This was really fun. Chad Gable takes a loss for Alpha Academy. There's some good bits in here, though. But it took Gable hits a crossbody off the top on Ford. Ford rolls through and then pins Gable to get the win.
And largely because Otis had been taken out of the equation by Dawkins. Yeah. He tried to go for like a cannonball or spear or something, and Dawkins got out of the way. I really do appreciate how at the end of this, the Street Profits really came off like, man, we just sort of stole that one, So I like that they're booking Alpha Academy as a real machine, as a real unit.
Yeah, I like the bit Ford when he was trying to knock Otis off his feet and having no luck with it. Finally realizing this isn't going to happen. After that, we had Adam Pearce backstage when Ray storms in, wonders why Pearce fed Dom to Lashley, said, we had a verbal agreement that Dominic would be on Team Raw. And Pearce says, I understand your frustration. And then Ray says, I want one question answered. Pearce, are you a man of your word or not? And Pearce says, Ray, you better stay in your lane. I'm going to put you in a match tonight against Bob Lashley.
Yeah. After that, so this was weird. So they were going to do, because the women's tag team division doesn't actually have a division.
Yeah.
They were going to do 2 singles matches against the number 1 contenders, I assume, for the tag team titles. Yes. So they did Nikki versus Queen Zelina, and they did Rhea versus Carmella.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. My Xfinity feed dropped to color bars during the Nikki Queen Zelina stuff.
Oh.
I was watching on my DVR. I'm assuming Nikki lost this because the match was over when it came back. It was pretty like an short. Extensive drop.
It was pretty short. It was a pretty short bout, but Zelina got the win with the code red. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then after that, we had Rhea versus Carmella. I'll be honest, this match is pretty damn entertaining. Rhea Ripley, these two have good chemistry, and their characters have really good chemistry. Carmella and that mask is killing me. It absolutely makes me laugh. And then Corey's commentary, given that it's completely out that they're a thing, and he just completely goes crazy for her. I love every bit of it. I really do. I think Carmella is just wonderfully entertaining, and she's been entertaining for quite a while now. Whenever she's given something to work with, the mask is hideous. It makes her look so Hannibal Lecter-ish.
I know.
It's hilarious. But yeah, I thought this was really, really good stuff. Rhea ends up getting her finish for the win, but it's a pretty entertaining match.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. Afterwards, Zelina grabs a mic. She congratulates Rhea on her win, but also congratulates Nikki on being friends with the winner. And says,
Zelina's really fucking
and then says Rhea's fluke victory doesn't mean a thing because it'll be her and Carmella that will lead Team Raw to victory, while Nikki is at home alone with the losers.
So wait, who's on Team Raw's Bianca?
Yes.
Rhea.
Yes.
Carmella and Zelina.
That's 4, right?
And I know I'm missing somebody really obvious. Somebody else help me out here. Because I'm like, wait, why is Rhea on but Nikki's not?
Hold on.
Is it Liv? No, it's not Liv. Liv's got a thing. Is it Liv?
Yeah, it is.
No,
Liv.
It's not Liv.
It
is it Liv?
Liv.
Okay,
yeah.
It's Liv. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I mean, given that, like, I know Seth is waiting out Big E. He's going to be the next big opponent. Same with Kevin Owens. I don't know. It is weird that Nikki's not on one member of the tag team isn't. Whatever.
I know. After that, Big E steps into Adam Pearce's office, and Pearce is telling him, you need to be totally focused on your match against Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. Big E says, don't worry about my focus. I know I got Roman on Sunday. I know Seth is gunning for my title. Plus, I got to deal with Kevin Owens. And Adam Pearce says, yes, that's the point. You need to stay above the chaos. He says, you want that match against Roman on Sunday, right? He says, then you got to stay away from the ringside area for Kevin Owens' match against Finn Balor. And if you don't think I'm being serious, I got 2 words for you. They weren't suck it. It was Brock Lesnar.
Break it down, Brock Lesnar.
You don't listen to me, you're going to get suspended.
And Big E did not like that, man. He was about to give Pierce a big ending. After that, we had a Seth Rollins interview. He was asked about Team Raw being a part of it, and he says, whoa, I'm not going to be a part of Team Raw. I'm going to lead Team Raw. And he's like, after the Survivor Series, I'm going to turn my attention to Big E, and simply put, I'm going to take the WWE Championship and lead this show to the mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
It was fun. Then we get Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens. This is a really fun match. You know, whether he's leaving or not, I appreciate Kevin Owens is putting everything he's got into his matches now. I mean, he's always done absolutely. It, but it seems like he's really taken things up a notch of late. Like he's busting out moves we haven't seen him do for a while, if at all, in WWE, and it's just great to see. In the end, he ends up getting the win. He escapes a coup de grace. He actually escapes 2 coup de grace. One, he rolls out of the way. Second one, he knocks Finn off the ropes, and then hits Finn with the stunner to get the win. All right, this next bit. I mean, okay. So we've got an interview with AJ Styles and Omos. I watched this morning. I'm like, it was scratching my head because AJ's promo made absolutely 0 sense to me. So hopefully you can help it make some sense.
Probably not.
So he's asked about the Dirty Dogs. AJ says they're not in the same food chain as them, and there are a couple facts that are undeniable in the tag division. If the Usos would just finish off the New Day and get off their show. And I'm like,
the New Day, yeah, the New
they're
Day
on SmackDown. Why are you? And so are the Usos. Why are you worrying about them?
Yeah, they don't have anything to do with the tag division.
No, not on Raw. He says then there's the Street Profits. They always want the smoke. He says I don't know what they're talking about, but there's a thing called a Duralog. I did like the Duralog reference. He says that has enough smoke for everyone.
That's the most dad reference.
Yeah, no. He says you don't cross us. He says, hey, there's a movie called The Avengers with a guy named Loki. He said he had an army. Well, I have a Moss, which I guess makes me Iron Man. And I'm like,
I like that he pronounced Loki low key, like it's his friend from TNA.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I don't think that analogy is apt, AJ. Anyways, and he says, as far as the Dirty Dogs are concerned, they stole a win from them last week, but tonight, and then Amos cuts him off, says, tonight I'll make them suffer. And then we cut to a Dirty Dogs promo like they're just across the room and heard everything AJ said, and it's like, oh, you want to talk movies, huh? Well,
they make the lamest reference.
We just watched a blockbuster movie on Peacock this weekend, and it reminds us, AJ and Amos, it's twins.
It reminds us that you're in your 40s.
Gosh, this is so
Twins
bad.
is a fine movie. It's literally like one of my dad's favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a perfectly decent movie. Decent
no,
film,
it's a fine movie, but the movie came out in '88. It's such a dated reference.
I know.
Yeah, like calling somebody a DeVito. I think most people probably just know Danny DeVito these days from Always Sunny, and he's amazing in it. Yeah, I don't know. The thing that made me laugh when AJ and Amos, he says, yeah, 2 cool guys watching cool movies, right, Amos? And Amos is like, okay, dude, You're the most dad guy. Anyways, yeah, that was it. No, I mean, the most confusing thing about it was the Usos New Day thing.
Like, was he upset that the Usos? Well,
he's not targeting Big E. AJ's not going after Big E.
I thought he might have been upset that the Usos were going up against RK Bro or something, but it's not like they were challenging for the tag titles.
Yeah, it's a different set of tag titles.
Riddle got pinned. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. We had that match, AJ and Amos versus the Dirty Dogs. Of course, AJ and Amos get the win. Amos dropping Dolph from 12 feet up in the air he can do because he's super tall. Styles tags, get asked for the tag in. He hits a phenomenal forearm for the win.
After Amos wrecks everybody.
After Amos had basically just done that, yeah. After that, we had a Lashley interview where he just basically says Ray is trash. And then we had that match where he proved it out.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio versus Lashley, where Lashley treated him like a bag of trash.
Wrecked him.
Completely. Dude, that finish where Ray hit the 619 and then hit that splash, and then Lashley just stood up with him like he was holding a baby, like he was playing with a child.
I know.
That was
it put him right
hilarious.
Into a hurt lock. I know. I mean, Ray got some offense.
Tap.
Ray got some offense in, but Lashley, the outcome was never really in doubt. So yeah, Lashley gets the win. Ray taps the hurt lock, and we cut backstage because Adam Pearce has been watching the match, at a weird, awkward angle the whole time. So Sarah walks up for an interview, and he's like, hey, can I borrow the mic, please? And so he walks out to the arena. His trainers are checking on Ray. Says, it's my job to make sure they have the best competition at Survivor Series. So at least he didn't say, just directly, I want Team Raw to win. Says, pains me to say it, but for the well-being of Ray and Team Raw, I got no choice. I got to take Ray off Team Raw with a replacement name later, and that's when Austin Theory comes out, hits Dom with his finish, and Pierce says, I like your style. You're replacing Rey Mysterio.
I do appreciate that Pierce's vocalizations are very Vince-like. Like, he is totally channeling Vince McMahon with when he talks. I like your style. What a maneuver. Yeah, I can sort of see that because you know that Vince is coaching him up on this shit. Obviously. And then you want to say and
down to doing readings for him, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. He's doing line readings for him. I guarantee that shit, man. He's giving him line readings. Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some of the questions out there. I've got a thread here on the Patreon, patreon.com/Stephen Larson. If you can't make the show, if you can't watch it live with us on the Twitch and you want if you have a burning question for us on the Patreon, patreon.com/Stephen Larson, you can leave that question. First up, Crispy McGrizzle says, is this whole you're on the Survivor Series team? Just kidding. You aren't. An actual story beat or one of Vince's whims? I don't know if I'd consider it a Vince whim. I feel like because of what you said at the beginning of the show today, they had a lot on their plate. And I feel like they had ideas for how they want the match to play out. And now they're like, well, wait a second. We should do this instead. How are we going to do that? Pierce is a dick.
Or it could be a thing where
there's rewriting.
They're rewriting where they announce the teams and they realize, oh, maybe we could have had some intrigue and drama in terms of who's going to be on like qualifying matches for spots on the teams. So we'll announce the teams and then make people earn their spots after the fact, and instead of having qualifying matches. It's like it's. I always bring up the Nikki ASH story where they kind of reached the conclusion at the end of the first act,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which should have been the moment where she conquers, the supervillain Charlotte. They kind of did that at the end of the first act, and now she's taking L's all over the place.
Again, you set something up, and then they just don't follow through. It is an endless parade of this. It really is.
Yeah. E-Dub here asks, is Kevin Steen going to swerve Seth Rollins when he faces Big E to screw with Seth? And will this lead to a loser leaves match? Well, either Owens, Seth, or both are going to cost Big E his match at Survivor Series. He's going to lose to Roman, unfortunately.
It would be kind of cool if they actually did a loser leaves town match for Steen. Mm-hmm. But and Vince really likes Kevin Owens, so he might show him that kind of respect. On the other side, he might just treat him like trash on the way out, or just not feature him.
Yeah,
So, you know,
who knows?
I mean, Adam Cole's different because that was NXT. Bryan Danielson, he was featured up until the moment he left, but then he took some time.
They had the
away,
loser leave SmackDown, or like if he lost to Roman in their singles match on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, that's right. They had that. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Then he was gone.
Let's see here. Wolfpack for Life says the season of Survivor that John Morrison was on is on Netflix right now. He asked what superstars would do the best at Survivor. Wouldn't Reggie do the best at Survivor?
Yeah. Isn't Randy Orton like Mr. Survivor Series? Hasn't he been in a bunch of them and been the Survivor in a lot?
Oh, I think he's talking about the show Survivor.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Randy Orton's been in Survivor Series matches a lot.
Yeah.
He's won a bunch of them or something.
Okay.
I thought I read that somewhere.
Well, also Randy Orton, the Apex Predator.
Yeah.
The Viper.
Yeah.
I think in character he'd do probably the best. Yeah, he'd do really good at Survivor. That's a good one.
White Brownie, are you more surprised at no last-minute title change or brand invasion? No. Everything about this build to Survivor Series seems so
patched together.
Yeah.
No, they're not worried about like a big cool moment.
No.
I would actually be kind of surprised if we got anything resembling that there's been no story here whatsoever.
Nope.
Let's see here. Dog Authority figure. If Vince and company are committed to doing the draft shortly before Survivor Series and keeping it brand warfare, I had a thought for how to rationalize it. Do you think it could work as a team building, brand building activity? I think that's not a terrible idea. The problem is, like, wholesale, there are dudes from SmackDown that came over to Raw, and that whole group was Team Smack or Team Raw. You know, it was what, Seth, Owen, it was a bunch of guys.
Yeah, it's basically all Team Raw. Yeah.
Yeah. And now they've changed that. Like Lashley's on it now. Austin Theory's on it now. So they've changed it a little bit, so it's like 3 out of the 5. But no, that's a solid idea if it was an idea that they actually wanted to run with, but they don't do that. They just book week to week.
Yeah, I know. And again, it would be great if there was a situation where, all right, whether it's on a per match basis for these elimination tag matches or overall, there's stakes involved. Say if Team Raw wins either the most matches or just their individual matches, then they should get some sort of reward for doing so. We just never really bothered doing it that way. I don't know why.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, don't get it.
Let's see here. Moses Opposes says, with Kevin Owens being the obvious next dude to AEW, which current WWE female wrestler do you see joining AEW next? So somebody who's in the company now that via contract expiration or being released. I know we don't like to speculate on anybody getting released, but
Asuka maybe.
Boy, Asuka would be great. But the problem is they could probably add shit tons of time onto her contract because she's been
injured,
seemingly injured. Yeah. I wonder if I feel like they took the thing that Nikki ASH had and they kind of ran it into the ground before even really giving it a proper shot.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if she was like, that was the best thing I had. What, like that's it. And now they're just going to use, I know she's a tag team champion, but in a division that doesn't have any contenders. So I would love to see Nikki Storm in AEW. I think that'd be rad.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I have no idea where her head's at, if she really enjoys the platform, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, but I think that'd be great. I think she's sort of that sort of Ruby Soho type, been around for a long time, terrific wrestler, everybody loves her kind of thing. Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll hang out for a little bit. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.